Good evening, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here once again. Our dear friends Charles, Silvia Gibbons, our dear Munir Gariba, and our dear Steve, that he's on holiday in Brazil, and send a hug to everyone. And I hope you enjoy and interact with us in our humble and wonderful at the same time live. Okay, now I pass to our dear Silvia, Charles, and Munir to greet you all.
Me first. Hello, good evening, everyone. A pleasure once again to be here with us and to be with you. And hopefully today is a very exciting subject. It's something that a lot of people talk about. And some years ago now, I think the Daily Mail, which is a newspaper in England, they did a poll of how many people actually accept the idea of reincarnation. And I think 83% of the people who were asked actually thought, yeah, it's possible. And some of them said they straight out, they believed. But 83% of the people, is quite a lot. So it would be a subject that's nice to talk about. And it'd be great to be here. And bem-vindos. Bem-vindos a todos, boa noite. Nós vamos falar sobre reencarnação hoje, que vai ser muito interessante. Que Deus nos abençoe.
Charles.
Hello, bonjour à tous. Très heureux d'être à nouveau parmi vous ce soir. Merci pour votre fidélité. On va essayer de vous parler un peu de la réincarnation, sujet qui est extrêmement important et que le spiritisme a considérablement clarifié. Voilà, hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Very happy to be here again with you. Talking today again about evolution, about reincarnation, which is a subject that Spiritism has clarified a lot. And we will try to bring you some information about this.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you are on the other side of the globe. It's a great pleasure to be here again with Elsa, Charles, and Silvia, talking about perispirit. The beauty of Spiritism is that reincarnation and the perispirit, they become an integral part of all the teachings that we have within Spiritism. And reincarnation becomes compulsory when we start to understand all the phenomena that are explained from the Spiritist viewpoint. So this is the beauty, and it's very nice to have the opportunity to bring some of the aspects because it's a vast subject, and we just within this hour that we have will only present some aspects of it. I'm sure there will be a lot of doubts, but you always have the Spiritist books to go to and try to find some of the answers that we don't provide you with here. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. And now, as usual, we will show our short video about our special theme, that is reincarnation.
Is it possible to achieve enlightenment in a single lifetime? Reincarnation. Is that a spiritist concept? Yes, it is. We do believe in reincarnation, but not just us. The majority of the population on Earth nowadays are reincarnationists. That's because of the Asian people. Their religions normally are reincarnationists. And reincarnation is not with us since Spiritism. It's been with us forever. The Greek, the Egyptian, the Native American, all those people, all those cultural groups, they did believe in reincarnation. And what's the purpose of reincarnating? Well, let's define what reincarnation is all about. We believe that God created us in a certain time. Gift created me as a spirit or you as a spirit. Since then, we become evolving, progressing, step by step. We are simple and ignorant when created by God. Then through experiences, we understand good and evil, what we should do, what we should not do. And the problems we face in life, those are our teachers, as we see it. Problems are challenges that force you to intellectually try to overcome them. Once you understand the problem and overcome the problem, you're wiser, you understood something. It's just like reincarnation is more or less like a good internship program or a good training program. A training program in a company, you pass through different departments of the company, right? To understand everything about everything. Same with reincarnation. Sometimes you incarnate as a woman, sometimes as a man, to understand the psychology of men and women. Sometimes you incarnate as a rich person, sometimes as a poor person. Sometimes you incarnate well, sometimes ill, in a very big cosmopolitan, metropolitan city, sometimes in a very tiny town in the interior of the country. All in all, to understand a bit of everything. And what Spiritism says is the following: we are here to evolve, we're here to progress morally and intellectually. That's why we have so many different experiences in life, to become better people, wiser people. Reincarnation have another very nice, very beautiful side effect, which is we start to see ourselves as really brothers and sisters, as human beings. If you understand reincarnation, you understand you might incarnate poor or rich. You might incarnate in this ethnical group or in that ethnical group. You cannot consider yourself better than another person. You cannot consider yourself of a very noble family. Who cares? I mean, there's not nobility. You incarnate in different situations every time. So we become more tolerant. We become to understand people as they really are, as brothers and sisters, as spirits, as ourselves.
Thank you to our dear Eduardo and Mirella for these wonderful videos that they promote in the High Spirit, Spiritist Academy. That is a wonderful channel in the YouTube. Okay, Alexandre Caldini spoke about God created the universe. Yes, the universe is infinite. It is composed of an infinite of worlds that we see, material worlds, and those that we do not see, spiritual worlds, by animated beings, animals, plants, incarnated and discarnated spirits, and inanimated beings, water, air, stones, metals, and etc. In our Spiritist philosophy, we study all Allan Kardec books, and many questions of the Spirit's book regarding the reincarnation in the part 2, chapter 4, the Spirit's book. And I brought here just one to start provoking our guests. And the questions 167, what is the aim of reincarnation? And the Spirits answered, expiation, progressive improvement of humankind. So now, this is a very special theme tonight, and I will start provoking Charles with the first questions that the Silvia and the Munir also can speak about. Charles, in which way reincarnation is a tool for evolution?
Well, Caldini really told a lot of things in the video already. He told almost everything. So let's try to. It was a little bit high rhythm, so I will try to do it a little bit slower so that we can have everyone understand. Let's take examples. A person is born with mental difficulty and so on. So with little chance to learn, to progress in this life. So what happens with this soul which had not the conditions for evolution? Let's take another example. We reincarnate and we have a family and something goes wrong, for instance. And we end up dying without having performed what we should have performed. Okay, so what happens? If you go to the Catholic Church, you go to hell, and that's it. For you will remain infinite times there. So is all this just? When you have a son, would you really what you want with your son? You want to educate them. You want them to progress. So if they You ask them to do something, and since they are too young, they fail. What do? Do you punish them, put them in hell for the rest of their life? No, the father or mother would never do that. So why should God do this with us? So clearly, I mean, we are evolving in a single life, but as I have shown by the examples, there are so many different conditions. People which are rich are the ones which are poor. People which are healthy are the ones which are ill. So the chances are not equal, are not the same for everyone to evolve. Some have a better education, money to pay good universities, others don't have. So it would really not be fair if on a single try with so big diversity of conditions, this would determine in a single life our future for the eternity. So we cannot reconcile this with the notion of God, as that as per Spiritism is infinitely just and merciful. So this is a huge contradiction. And the only way to come out of this contradiction, as Kardec is saying in the comment in question 171 of the Spirit's book, is the doctrine of the reincarnation, the notion of reincarnation. Otherwise, we cannot reconcile all what we see in the world with equity or according to God's goodness to punish forever those who, regardless to their will, encountered obstacles to their improvement within the surroundings in which they have been placed. Okay, so it would not be fair, it would not be just. Now, if we are reasoning over several lives, then over reincarnation, the thing changes completely. In one life, you can be born healthy, in the other life, ill, and vice versa. You can be born in a good family with some conditions for a good education, and the next life can be the opposite. Okay, in one life, of course, we can progress, but as Caldini told, you never achieve the complete progress in one life. Nobody can. It's too short, too quick. So what you did not manage to do in this life, you can continue in the other life. What you did wrong in this life, you can try and redo and repair and adjust in the next life. So really, we are seeing that the reincarnation, the notion of reincarnation, is solving a lot of such difficulties and contradictions that we can see, that you cannot reconcile, you cannot reach this consistency when you are reasoning with one life only. Okay, so these are, I would say, the philosophical aspects of reincarnation. Now, of course, reincarnation, we have a huge convergence of factual elements and proof which are coming. It's only to read, for instance, the books of Gabriel Delanne or maybe Colonel de Rocha, which made regressions through hypnosis. We can also look to the more recent works that have been done by the Dr. Ian Stevenson, even after Stevenson's death in 2007, continuing today with Jim Tucker. You have thousands and thousands and thousands of cases of past life memories in children with a lot of indication, proof, things that can be checked and everything. That, okay, if you take one of the cases out of the 1,000 separately, you may find another explanation for it. But the only fact, the only hypothesis that is explaining all the 1,000 cases is indeed the reincarnation. Okay, so it is something which makes sense. It is something that is consistent with the notion we have from God. It is something that is just. There is no injustice. It cannot be. So we come. According also to the convergence of thousands and thousands of facts proving for reincarnation, we really come to the conclusion that it's a natural law. And this is what Spiritism achieved. And the main purpose of reincarnation, answering to your question, what is the purpose of incarnation? Is evolution. So the purpose of reincarnation, which means incarnating several times, is of course also evolution. in one life you climb, you evolve one step, the next life one more step. Some people are more active and more engaged to their own evolution. Maybe they will evolve 2 or 3 or 4 steps in one life, huh? But you cannot come from the how to say, low evolved spirit, as when we look in the prehistory, 10 or 20 or 30,000 years ago, until to the best people or spirit with a degree of evolution like Gandhi or Jesus in one single life. It is absolutely impossible. So the reincarnation gives us also this vision that one day, for me it will take a long time, but one day I will reach the level of evolution of Gandhi and of Jesus. Okay, so Jesus has someone who maybe has been created before me, who has worked a lot more than me for his own evolution, but one day I will also reach that level. And this is then absolutely compatible with this infinite justice, divine justice of God, because we cannot conceive a God without this attribute in the infinite way, the divine justice. So that is how we come to this notion of reincarnation, really solving a lot of problems, so explaining all these discrepancies we can see of people which are born in poor country, other in good countries, I mean, that we see daily, if we, without having this reincarnation to help us to understand where is this infinite justice, even seeing all these discrepancies. So this is what I would like to say just for beginning. Let's also leave the way for my colleagues and also time for answering the question later on. Thanks for your attention.
Great, Charles. As Guilherme says, I know that Silvia is wanting to speak about. Mute. Okay, so Munir?
Yes, very interesting what Charles presented. I'll give my contribution moving slightly towards the more philosophical and scientific aspect of reincarnation. We have creation. We know that the creation has, God created 2 basic elements, the material world in its all forms, denser and lighter. And also we have the spirits. And reincarnation is the tool that the spirits have to, as Charles mentioned, to progress. But the creation obeys a law, which is a law regarding movement. And what God created to give movement to the material world were the spirits. So when we say that spirits, they were created very simple, but with all the potential to develop until, a level of pure spirits, angels, some people prefer to call them. This process will carry with that also matter, because we are the ones not helping God, but the elements that have been created by God to keep matter in movement, evolving with us. So we need the material world. Then we come to the question, is it compulsory? Does God impose on us incarnation in a material world, especially a dense world? I say, yes, he imposes in the sense that we need to go through this stage so that we can move to, a more advanced one. It becomes compulsory. Can I go to university without going to school, doing primary school, secondary school, high school? And so, no, I can't. We have to go through that. Is it imposed? It is compulsory for our own benefit, because there is an order. And as Charles said, there's justice as well. And through reincarnation, we have the opportunity to bring within, inside ourselves, from outside to inside, the laws that govern the whole of creation. So how can we do that? By experience. And this experience can occur through many incarnations, not 1, 2, 3, but thousands, hundreds of thousands perhaps, because this is a process where we move, some people say from the atom to the archangel. There is an order, a continuity in the universe. And for the universe to evolve, the spiritual element is the one responsible through, our evolution as a spirit. We also promote this evolution in the universe. Our bodies, when we were less evolved as spirits, the body, the anatomy of the body, the physiology of the body was more primitive. And now we can say our physiology, our anatomy, in terms of the beauty of the body, we can say we've evolved a great deal. Has the spirits who have incarnated on this planet, has they got something to do with that? Yes, because as we evolve, we affect matter. As spirits, we affect matter. So we also give our contribution to this progress that we see in the universe, in the creation, as we also become purer and purer spirits. And as Charles also mentioned, through experiences. In this incarnation, I will be exposed to certain experiences, so I can bring inside myself the knowledge of how to act according to the divine laws, not against the divine laws, but according to those laws. And then in the next incarnation, I have, several other opportunities to learn things, different things, or the ones I haven't learned in this one. That's when we have to come to expiate. I would say, to make the necessary amendments. I don't like when people say, oh, I have debts. No, we don't have debts. We have a lesson we haven't learned. We have to come back and study it again, go through that again, so we can learn. So we are, for us to move forward to a point where we don't need to incarnate in this dense world as it is now. We have to go basically through all experiences that he has to offer to us. As Charles said, I may, in the video as well, I may come in one situation today, rich or poor, very healthy, ill, or having these opportunities, or not having those opportunities and have different ones. Because basically we have to learn all that exists, all the possible lessons that this world has to offer. Once we've learned them, we can say that part of the laws in the creation, they are part of us. We are acting according to them. And that's why we say, Jesus said, me and my Father are one, because he had already within himself, naturally, all the laws that were the divine laws, the laws that govern the universe. He acted 100% according to those laws. And we are moving towards that. And that's why incarnation is compulsory for us at this point. Yeah.
Wonderful. I don't know, I will ask another question now to Silvia, which I know Silvia is a good student about her reincarnation. Silvia, is the union of a soul to a body an imposition from God? When you just finished something regarding.
Yes, I think it's almost following what Munir was saying. It is an imposition sometimes. It is because the spirit will reincarnate in a body that he needs to learn the lessons that he'll come to learn. And this is very important because he will reincarnate in a specific body, and he'll be in a, like was said before, in a social class where he needs to learn certain lessons. I think this occurs most spirits, but not all. And that's how we improve, by going through this experience. Like Munir said, we go through certain experiences now, and because we need to learn certain things and readdress some of the wrongs we did in the past. So a person may be born in a body who has some physical difficulties, unable to read, to walk, or anything. But also, I think this is very, very important to understand, which is Spiritism is very clear on that, and it's not always clear, but it is important to understand this point, is that many cultures says karma, this imposition that you have to suffer and things like that, but it's not always the case. some cases, yes, we come to readdress certain wrongs that we've done in the past, and we abuse certain parts of our body, or we've died through suicide, and we have difficulties to learn to really value what we have. But there are some spirits, actually sometimes even very evolved spirits, because they are trying to help members of their family, or they are trying to teach certain lessons. They will reincarnate on a body that maybe have difficulties and be in a very difficult situation physically, depending on other people, because they chose to do that. And so I think one of the things that I find fascinating in Spiritism is that nothing is written in stone. Every case is a case and is judged by its own merit, because, you know, it's very, I remember someone saying once that they went somewhere and he had a physical problem, and everybody looked at him as if he had been a bad person in the past. And it's not like that, because sometimes it's a very superior spirit who chose to help people, to teach lessons for others. It's like they're sacrificing themselves to show a different way. So you can't say that everybody who has a difficulty is there because in the past they've done something wrong. Mostly, yes, but not all. And I think this is very interesting. And the way Spiritism sees things and teaches us things, that you have to go to the merit of every single person. Everyone has their own difficulty, and the purpose, like we said, Charles said before, and we as well, reincarnation is a blessing. Is a real blessing. It's something that is given to us so we can readdress wrongs, we can learn new things. Say, for instance, someone who was a greatest musician, you know, a Mozart, for instance. And we know that Mozart definitely was a musician, maybe many, many lifetimes before he was born as Mozart. But now he needs to go and learn something else. You know, he maybe next life he'll be born as an engineer because he needs to learn other things. Although I think mathematics, which is the thread of life in the universe, is so beautiful, and we have different things. I remember was someone telling me once that he worked in Brazil. He was in the Navy in Brazil, and they had to guard some rivers or something. And there was this village, and people were very, very, very poor there. Very, very poor. And they had this little girl. I think he said she was probably about 9, 10 years old, 11, something like that. And she could dance. She could dance ballet. And she could stay on the top of her feet and go around. And everybody would stop to look at that because this is amazing, you know. And he said, well, she probably was a reincarnation of a very famous ballerina who decided to be born in the middle of the jungle in Brazil. And I think that's the things, because she was going to learn new things, you know. She already knew ballet, she already knew how to stand on her toes and twirl. And I think that's the beauty of reincarnation, is progress, evolution, is like Munir said, we've been reincarnating for millennia, billions of years even, to arrive to the highest point that we can achieve, and to be at one, you know, with God and learning and everything. So, and I think that is now a new philosophy that says actually reincarnation is not a belief, but it's a biological law. And there are many studies being done, and that Dr. Delcy Andoli in Brazil has written a book about it, and has been doing a lot of research. So it's something that's going to actually raise the level of reincarnation from, oh, do you believe in it? And I mean, Kardec already said it's the relevant belief. We have to accept it. But if it comes, you know, that science has actually proven that's a biological law. So you'll be universal, you know, and it's very interesting that, I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvia. Wonderful. Make a lot of sense when you reflect in everything that you just spoke about. Charles, would you like to comment? I think you are mute, Charles.
Sorry. Yes, it's interesting when we come back to Kardec, for instance. So he was educated, how to say, traditionally in the Catholic, which was the official religion in France at that time, and so on. And when he started his studies on Spiritism and the spirits were talking about reincarnation, he started somehow, okay, that spirit exists, okay, that spirits are communicating, okay, but reincarnating, he was at the beginning not convinced. But with the time, quite quickly, he got convinced through all these arguments that we are presenting you. Proofs from observation, communication from spirits, and also all these philosophical and arguments. And it's interesting because when you go to the spirits book, there is one entire chapter, which is chapter 4 and chapter 5 of the part 2, only about reincarnation. And including he's developing really his point of view and the reasoning in the question 222, which, by the way, is not really a question. It's just Kardec's comment, the conclusion he reached about all the reflection on this subject, and it's absolutely outstanding. It would be maybe too heavy in the limited time frame we have to explain, but he's basically saying it exists since a very long time. Most of the Oriental religions are believing in reincarnation with some variants, some metempsychosis, that we can be reborn in an animal or things like that. The Spiritism is correcting. Human spirit only reincarnate in human bodies. But the idea is very old, from 10,000 years or maybe even more. And then he comes also to these philosophical arguments, and I think really he's putting some questions which are absolutely outstanding. And I will just read some of those questions. Why does the soul display aptitudes that are so different from and independent of the ideas acquired by education? How can we answer to such question? If everybody is born for the first time at the beginning of this life, why some at 4 years have already skills for music, mathematics, and whatever, and others not? It will also not be just, the justice of God. Why do some very young children display an extraordinary aptitude for a particular area of knowledge, while others are left in the mediocrity throughout their entire lifetime? Also, questions that we cannot answer without having the notion of reincarnation. Why do some children seem to be endowed with inborn or intuitive ideas that are lacking in others? Why do certain children demonstrate precocious impulses towards vice or virtue, or innate sentiments of dignity or meanness that contrast so strikingly with the environment into which they have been born? You have very good spirits which are born in favelas, and others which are born in the best parents, best education, which are awful. And so on. So he comes really with these strong arguments. And when on top of these arguments of Kardec, we go to Gabriel Delan or Jan Stevenson with all these observations they have made of past life memories and so on, with a lot of proofs that we can be checked. Also, some birthmarks on the physical body, which are in line with the wounding from they suffered when they died in the last past life. I mean, you have so many arguments and evidences that at the end, we must admit the evidences, as we say in French, because something which brings us so many explanations, how to say, that you can see a brighter and much longer future for you. Does not mean that you should say, okay, no, I have a next life, I will not do it in this life, I will leave it for next life. No, it's not an excuse. This is not the correct attitude. What we can today, we shall do today, and we should not procrastinate for tomorrow or whatsoever. But at least when we are conscious that we cannot do everything, or we are limited, or the time is limited, or whatever, to think, okay, we will have another chance to continue what we have started and not finished, to redo what we have done wrong, to repair what we have broken, and so on. This is really bringing us a huge motivation. It's a stimulus for our own evolution. And that is how really reincarnation is solving all these problems and giving us a much, much, much wider vision in the future. And we didn't talk about everything, because we can reincarnate on Earth, we can also reincarnate on better worlds. I mean, there are a lot of aspects we could talk about reincarnations, but again, the time is limited, so we cannot really go to all the subjects.
Wonderful. Before I carry on, I'd like to say hello, my dear friends, Beatriz Giles, Ruben de los Santos, Uruguay, Daniel Nogueira, Marco Davis, Lolita Stein Johnson, Camille Brilla. Welcome to, very nice that you are participating with us. And you have one question here that from Camille Brilla, that's perhaps Munir, Charles, or Silvia can answer. Look, I will put here, the question is there a reason for us to think that there is only so much that we can achieve in this life, because there are limits per incarnation, who we can become and how much we can do? It's clear, the question, yeah?
Yes, I seen the question, yes. I don't think there are limits for what you can do. Obviously, we have a limited time, and we have, many lessons to learn. But it depends on how much we want to do. I think Munir mentioned something about that we can, or Charles just mentioned as well, the fact that, don't leave for tomorrow. I'm coming next incarnation, I'll learn this. No, do everything you possibly can, because we can always do more, basically. We are eternal spirits. We have this light within us that gives us the possibility to do everything we put our minds to do. So there is no limitation. We have, of course, a certain time, and there are certain lessons that we came to learn, but within that we can achieve more. Munir talked about the school. If you are a very good student, and if you do your work, you go quicker and you achieve much more. So I think it's the same thing with reincarnation, because really that's what it is, isn't it? This life, being in pilgrimage to the earth, in the life that we are now, is part of learning process, a part of evolution. And the more we do, the more we can get. There is no limit for what we can do. The only limit is the one that we impose ourselves. So, within the limitation of the years of life we have, we can do much more than just readdress wrongs. We can transform things. We can prepare something new for our lives, because one of the things we will have in the future, the life that we are preparing now. So within this, you can, as they say, the sky is the limit, isn't it? You can do whatever. The only limitations are the ones that we impose on ourselves. I hope
Yeah.
I'd like to mention something. Yeah.
Yes.
Free will. Free will is very important. We shouldn't forget that before coming to a new incarnation, we have a plan. It's been prepared. Depending on our level of development awareness, we may take part in the planning, or we may just receive a plan and say, this is what we are expecting from you. You are capable of doing that. As they say, that the cross that we carry, is not heavier than that we can carry. It's basically that. But we can do less. It creates an anxiety, especially for spirits who are still at the, sort of underdeveloped. That it creates a certain anxiety. Will I be able to achieve that? Should I, or would I be in a condition to take advantage of everything that has been offered to me in this incarnation? But some other spirits, they come and they do even more than they were supposed to do. And we know cases, as Silvia said, nothing is in the written in stone. And cases of spirits who were granted extra time in the body because they were doing so much that there was no point in interrupting that. So they managed to do more than they had planned. And free will is what keeps us going. Not that I can achieve the same as a spirit who is further ahead of me in development, but I can do more than I planned for myself, or that has been planned for myself. And then if I do a little bit more, it's wonderful. It's much better than doing a little bit less.
Munir, I will take your time now and ask something for you as well, okay?
Okay.
Munir, does the spirit, from the spiritual point of view, does the spirit feel anxious about the trials he will face in his new incarnation or next incarnation?
Yes, it's natural. It's natural. We shouldn't forget that, what death is for us here in the physical body. But when we return to spirits, we are in a situation that we have more freedom than we have here. And then returning to a physical body it creates a certain anxiety, especially for those spirits who are still uncertain about the potentialities, even their faith, how much they believe that they can achieve something in the help that they will receive from others. We are like that when we are young. I remember learning how to ride a bike. And, I was always unsure that is my father just behind me in case I, go to one side or the other and about to fall, and, slowly I gain this confidence. So it's natural that we get this anxious because we have opportunities, and, they are big opportunities. We know the benefits of it, and it creates, anxiety. Oh, will I be able to do that? Will I be able to accomplish that? How am I going to face that once I'm in the physical world, where my perception is limited, my memory is, covered in a veil, so I have just, that intuition of, what I should do or what I did in the past, but, I don't have this clear picture. So all this creates, yes, anxiety, and it's something that is natural. It's like going, spending a year, taking a year off, and going around the world for the first time, it creates a lot of anxiety.
And now I will ask a question in the air. Can a spirit refuse to reincarnate? Charles, Munir, Silvia, what do you think?
Yes, he can.
Refuse?
I have an example of a person that I met in a conference about reincarnation. It was a woman, a lady, and this lady was telling, look, I suffered so much in this life that there is no way that I will accept to reincarnate. Okay, that's your free will. So it can take 2, 3, 5, 10 millenniums until she decides to reincarnate. When she will become, because yet she reincarnated because she was incarnated when she made this remark. So why did she reincarnate? But really, I mean, the situation, it's understandable fully. And in such way, some persons, they will reincarnate very quickly because they understand quicker that it's the only way for them to progress. And some, they will, as per their free will, take 2 or 3 millennium before reincarnating. It's a question of free will, of understanding, and so on. And of what we should also say is, after we reach a certain degree of evolution, the reincarnation is not necessary anymore. At least not in physical body so heavy, like a prison, as we told already, like here on the Earth. They can reincarnate in much softer, better planet and so on. But at our level of evolution of us, which are here living on the Earth, definitively, I mean, we can evolve, we can learn, we can make some progress in the spiritual world as spirits, but the practice, the test to check if we really learn the lesson is through the reincarnation. And if we have things to repair here on the earth, we cannot repair them in the spiritual world. So we have to come back to repair them here. And we could talk a lot of other examples. For instance, somebody killed you. So you need to forgive to this person, and this person needs somehow to ask you for pardon, for forgiveness. Do you think this can happen so easily in the spirit world, where you see the person who killed you? No, when we reincarnate and we forget the past lives. For instance, as mother and son, you have the maternal instinct, which is making you taking so good care of your son, and without knowing that this son, it was this son who killed you in the past life. So there are situations like this that are a lot facilitated when you are reincarnated on Earth, and this is why most of us, at the end, we all decided to reincarnate and to come back in order to progress, in order to make the next step in our evolution. So there is nobody pushing you mandatorily to reincarnate at a given point in time. We still get our free will. And we also are planning our reincarnations. That's another thing.
Yeah, I think, yes, that there is a point that the person may not want to reincarnate as well. And I see a problem there. I think eventually they will have to, because it's impossible. God does not allow people to be in darkness forever. But I think one of the things, if nothing else, will impulse that person to try to come back in reincarnation to learn the lessons they needed to learn is because their friends, their families, everyone they love will not be standing still waiting for them. They will go through their own evolution, and they will go and they will move on, and they will be distanced from that person. And eventually they will want to go back and meet their family again. I mean, we know that there are some spirits that will come back in those books of Emmanuel, 2000 years ago and 50 years later, when he talks about his reincarnation again. I mean, we see the story of Celia, which comes back to help some of the people who stayed behind. But the spirits will progress, their children, their parents, everyone they know, and they are going to be standing there waiting, I don't want to reincarnate. They will miss their people, and they will beg to come back. And of course, then they will have a lot more to cope with when they come back, because they let it accumulate. But I think the fact that you lose your loved ones and you see them going ever further away from you because they are becoming enlightened, it will be a great impulse for the person to change their minds and get on with it,
Yeah, allow me to read the answer for questions from the Spirit's book, question 333. The answer from Spirit is not indefinitely. As Charles said, it may take a long time, but not indefinitely. Advancement is a necessity, and Spirit sends it sooner or later. All must evolve. It is their destiny. There they are talking about our destiny. And as I said, at the level that we are, most of us, what we need, the experience we need to evolve is here. Not just on Earth, but any similar planet to ours, that will offer the experiences that we need to evolve at this stage. We may move schools, but if we are in primary school, we'll be in primary school in this other school. We may move to another country. learning a different language, but the content is the same. That is the content that we need at that age that we find ourselves. So with the spirit is the same thing. I don't like this planet, that spirit I love so much, it has incarnated in another planet. Then you ask for permission, you may go there, but the experiences need to be compatible to the level of evolution of the spirits. The more evolved, the less materialized the world where the spirits will have to incarnate, as Charles said, in a world where the body, although physical, is not as dense as this one that we have here.
Munir, a lot of people want to know what kind of people, personalities they were in the past lives. And I ask, what is the reason why the incarnating spirit forget his or her previous lives? It's a question for Munir, Charles, and Silvia. Why? There is a good reason.
Okay, I just throw some ideas because two aspects in this. First, from the spiritual aspect of it, it is important because otherwise we will keep on making the same mistakes, seeing people the way we've always seen them. So it's important to see with new eyes, to have sort of fresh start. Otherwise, as I said, any negative relationship we have will carry on forever. On the other hand, the physical body, the physical process, if I can call that, of reincarnating, also the physical body, the density of the physical body will promote, as we could say, physical effects in the perispirit, or the spirit will promote this blockage regarding the memory. So what we have, are just we'll go to our subconscious, and then what becomes in our conscious then will be more related to the experience we are having presently. So there are these two actors, but Providence made it that way because it is important for us to have a brand new start. If we don't forget, it's very difficult.
Yeah, I think this is very important, and that's why many times we do forget the main things. But I think the feeling and the question I think that Camille has asked, we do, because it is in the memory of the spirit. It's not a loss for the spirit. It's a temporary forgetfulness. But we bring with us a lot of anxieties, a lot of feelings. I mean, there are some people you meet and you just love them. And it's like you've always known them all your life. And there are other people, sometimes even within your family, that you feel quite a stranger with them. And those are the people, if they are in your family, we need to try to be as friendly as possible and to overcome a lot of difficulties that we may find. But I think within us, we have the knowledge because our spirit knows. It is a blessing that we forget, as Munir said, because we can start anew. But we also have an intuition of who we were. It's often I hear people saying, I think in my past life I must have been a very bad person because, the way I do things this time. A lot of fears that we had from the past we bring with us because of something that happened in our past lives, and we don't know why, but we become fearful of certain situations. We react in a certain way in relationships and things, and that's why I think with the grace of God, really, we have now what they call memories therapy, past life therapy, which will bring the ones that we had a problem and unfinished business with, and we can clear that. And we clear not only ourselves, our family, our group, but also the whole planet, because there are a lot of things, especially in the past, we had a lot of things that we did in groups, until not very long ago, in countries where they had death penalty, is to be in public. I mean, if we're thinking of the French Revolution, people giving, you talk about the ladies that would sit there knitting while people are being guillotined, So we have a lot of past together, and some of the intuitions that we can clear as well from the whole, and we can clear from the planet. And I think that's why these things are. And I think also, if you have an intuition of something that feels very, very strong, try to meditate and think. And if it's something not you don't feel very positive about, try to see a solution for that in your life now, and say, I feel very strange about that situation or that person, and try to see what's positive, what is good, how I can make this feeling change to something better, more positive. We can do quite a lot of work. We can pray and ask God for help and guidance, because we do have the intuition of a past life. It's amazing how skin deep sometimes it is, and we can do something about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Silvia. I think you answered Camille, the last question. He wrote about, speaking of that, can we have intuition? So you spoke exactly the point. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
My friend, 3 minutes to go. If Charles or Munir would like to point something before our announcements.
I think we have really make a first attempt. Huh? So do not hesitate in asking if you have some doubts, and or if you wish some particular aspect that we go more in depth, and it will be a pleasure for us to do it.
Okay, Camille, thank you. You say thank
I
you.
just want to say that, it's important. I know many people want to know what they were in previous incarnation. That is past, that is gone. But they should look at and see who they are now, what they have, and what they can do to be better. This is important, As it's been said, we can change what is already in the past, but we can change what will come in the future if we, work on us. And intuition is very important. We have some ideas, but how many incarnations we've had before this? Which one are we talking about? And the further back in time we go, the worse we were. So there's no point in looking back. Let's look forward.
I don't want to know what I was. I can feel the way that I'm living now, more or less what I was in the past. So
for me, it's the same. I don't want to know what I was, because it was worse in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
So
we were all worse. Yeah.
I mean, from all of you, I know what I've been in the past quite a few times, and brought a lot of clarity and a lot of positive outcome, but through my work in the therapy, which is different. And sometimes a person may have a very serious problem that they cannot clear, and through that you can do. And I myself had a lot of physical pain that was cleared. So it can be very positive, but you need to know what you're doing and who you're working with, because it's not curiosity, because you already know. You don't need anybody to tell you who you were in a past life. You know. Yeah. The intuition you're talking about, you know. You don't need anybody telling you. But you can help yourself maybe clearing, especially if someone has psychological problems that they cannot work out in this life. Yeah.
That's true.
Okay, my dear, wonderful time together. Our announcements for the next week, we will have our dear Nadja, Rodrigo, and Rafael on 2nd of November. Please be with us. Share this good news, detachment from material things, okay? And this weekend, full of joy with our 90th British Congress on Medicine and Spirituality here in the UK. Spread the word for your friends and be part of it. Reserve your place in Eventbrite, okay? Also, tomorrow, our Spiritist Society of London, we will have Solomon Waters. Can our personal healing lead to planetary healing? Here in London, in Bethnal Green. You can come. That will be face-to-face and broadcast on Facebook. Saturday as well, 29th, we have European Spiritistic Gathering once a month. That speaker will be Pekka Karanakaikin from Finland. And also, as usual, every fortnight, Time to Talk, conversations on mediumship, Rafael and Gil. And every Saturday, we have the Mediums Book Course, Gil, Munir, and Charles. They are the facilitators. Study of Book Nosolar, Astral City, every fortnight, Tuesday, SSL, here in London. And we had last week the last event of coffee break with Kardec. And soon we will have good news for you and share with all. And now, that's the end. It's a pity that the time went so quickly. Okay?
Let it fly.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all for...
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night. God bless. Have a good week.
Bye, all the
Lovely
best.
seeing
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye.
Munir, Charles,
Bye,
Silvia.
everyone.
Thank
You
you,
all
Elsa.
our friends here. And thank you, our
Thank you.
benefactors that are surrounding, helping us every day, every moment. Kiss for to all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.